But now we have to get into something that is a little darker, a little more negative. So sadly, um, earlier this week, there was a young mother, actually a U.S. citizen, woman in Minneapolis who was shot and killed, actually shot in the face multiple times by a federal agent. We were pretty sure it's an ICE agent. I think that the guy was identified recently, but we've seen sadly like a split in the reaction to what happened to this U.S. citizen. What we see is about half, the people reacting call this, an injustice, a tragedy. Many of them call it a murder because they look at the video and they see, an innocent woman driving away from, an ICE agent approaching her car, and she drives not to run him over, but we could see with our eyes that she turns the wheel, and we'll look at the video in a second. She turns the wheel to avoid the officer, and then, as she's driving away, the officer pulls his gun and shoots her in the face 3 times and kills her instantly. And then there was a doctor on scene, and the agents didn't allow the doctor to go administer aid. So we see that, and we're enraged, us, about half the country. The other half of the country views this as, something that's not enraging at all. And in fact, they view the officer as the victim in the scenario, that he got touched by the car, and it was completely in his, not only legal right, but also moral right to pull out his gun and to shoot her in the face 3 times. This is what we've seen, not only, people on the right argue, but also the highest government officials in our country argue. Not only President Donald Trump, but J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem continuously are saying that this was actually an act of terrorism on the woman's part, not the ICE agent who, murdered a U.S. citizen on the street. The terrorist in this occurrence was the lady driving, according to Trump, Kristi Noem, and J.D. Vance. So let's read and react to some of this. So over here we see a tweet saying, "This is a dividing line for Americans. If you think a 37-year-old U.S. citizen mom, legal observer, deserves a bullet to the head from some masked federal Gestapo, you are just beyond the pale. I don't recognize you as a good faith actor, someone whose opinion is worth a damn." So I agree with everything, from here. Down here, when she says, or when he says, I don't know what gender they are, "I don't recognize you as a good faith actor, someone whose opinion is worth a damn." That's where I disagree, because I do think the two sides are living in two different realities. If you're on the right, the kind of information you're given is that the car hit the officer, and that the officer is in his legal right in self-defense to shoot the lady. And they genuinely believe this. I don't think they're bad actors. I think they're just genuinely viewing this in like a different reality that the other side is. I think one side is right. I think the side that views this as an injustice and as a murder is correct. But it would be too far for me to say that they're completely bad actors. But I agree with the sentiment of the tweet. And this is what I was saying. Kristi Noem this is literally hours after the lady got shot, the U.S. citizen got shot. This is what she says. Let's listen.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them.
So this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable, guys. Kristi Noem, a few hours after the lady gets shot, calls her a domestic terrorist, and lies, saying that the woman attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. When we just got body cam footage of what actually happened in that moment, let's look at it. And you could see, and you could hear what they actually said. Let's see. But listen closely.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
Did you hear what she says? She says, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." Does that sound like a domestic terrorist who's trying to ram her car into someone? Okay, let's continue.
Show your face. I'm not mad
It's okay.
Again, she says, I'm not mad at you.
We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. And it'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking country. You want to come
And
at us?
over here, watch the video
I say go
closely.
get yourself some lunch. Big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car.
So look, you're going to see her turn her wheel, and this is from the perspective of the ICE agent. So let's see if she, here, watch and see if you see her turn her wheel.
Out of the car.
Look right there. You see her turn her wheel to move around the officer, not ram into the officer. Here, I'm going to replay it one more time, and I'll do it in slow motion. Playback speed, let's do 0.5. Look over here. You see her move her wheel, driving around, and then there he, gets nervous, and let's see. And then you hear the gunshots, and you hear the screaming, and then you're gonna hear the car because she's shot, she's dead, she rams in over there. So, with after just seeing that, hearing her say, I'm not upset at you, and then driving away, and then watching her move her wheel, to go around the officer, does that look like a domestic terrorist to you? Does that look like an act of terrorism by the lady, or does it look like an act of terrorism by the ICE officer? That's all I got to say. So let's see. And then I don't think it captures it in this video, but he actually calls her an effing B word after he shoots her. So unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff.
Raid.
And then this video, guys, is actually even almost crazier. So this is someone who is in Minneapolis, just hours after she got shot, and he's a Trump supporter. And let's see, he finally admits it. This is a mask off moment. Let's see.
The storm is here. When we come, one, we go all. No one can stop what is coming. Get here, guys. Louisiana, Minnesota. These people are fucking terrorists. Patriots, get out here. We need the backup. And all you liberal commie motherfuckers, keep your hands to yourself, or you're gonna get hurt today, all right? We executed one of you yesterday.
We executed one of you yesterday. It's a mask off moment.
We executed one of you yesterday. You understand that?
He says it again.
We executed one of you yesterday.
Look, I mean, he's saying it out loud. He's not hiding it. He's saying we executed one of you yesterday. And look, I'm not saying all right-wingers, are in agreement with the statement, but he is being honest in this moment in what he thinks. He's not hiding it. He's not saying, this wasn't an execution. The officer was, in his complete legal right to do this. He's saying it, and he's almost proud of it. So, unbelievable stuff, guys. Unbelievable stuff. And over here, this is someone who's running for Congress, Kat Abu Ghazaleh. And she's talking about kind of her opinions on how ICE should be viewed in this time.
Let's talk about what happened with ICE in Minneapolis. And by that I mean ICE murdering a woman in cold blood and broad daylight. My name is Kat Abu Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois. Let's talk about what happened with ICE in Minneapolis. And by that I mean ICE murdering a woman in cold blood and broad daylight. My name is Kat Abu Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and I believe abolishing ICE is both a moral and legal imperative for the United States. And I think what happened in Minneapolis shows exactly that. If you haven't seen the video,
people think ICE is something that's been around for decades. I mean, I'm older than ICE, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure ICE was, when was ICE formed? 2003. I was born in 2002. Look, I'm older than this agency. And look, we had immigration enforcement before that. But this is right now a rogue agency that doesn't believe in the law, and they're masked. They have very little, oversight over it. So look, abolishing ICE is not a radical, viewpoint anymore.
essentially what happens is imperative for the United States. And I think what happened in Minneapolis shows exactly that. If you haven't seen the video, essentially what happens, a woman is trying to drive away from ICE while they are in a neighborhood, and an officer goes to her window and shoots her in the head. This woman, Renee Good, is a mother of 3 children. She didn't belong to any ICE protest groups. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The right jumped onto this.
The one thing I want to say is, I want to second that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And look, Renee Good could be any one of us. driving, away from our house and we see one of our neighbors getting, detained by, I guess let me rephrase it. Look, one thing I want to say is Renee Good, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this could happen to any of us. What happened to her? She was, driving out of her house. She wasn't part of any protest group. She saw, immigration enforcement happening in her neighbor's house, and she's driving away. She, is asking the officer, waving their cars through, and then she sees an officer running at her car, so she drives away, which seems like a very normal thing to do. That a lot of people would do. That maybe one of you guys watching would do. And because of that, she got shot in the face 3 times. I want you to think, because for me, I've been at, multiple, spaces where legal observers are there watching and making sure that immigration enforcement is following the law, not interfering, but making sure they're following the law. And, I just think to myself, that could have been me, what happened to her. And that could be any of my neighbors watching, or just literally anybody, any innocent person driving out of their house, driving in their neighborhood, going to pick up a kid from school. And then that happens to you just because, when someone's running at you, you try to drive away and try to move away. So it's unbelievable stuff, guys. And I think, what's even crazier is imagine, this happened to you, that you're in your home and you're driving away just in your neighborhood and you see, immigration enforcement, activity happening in your neighborhood and you're driving away, you get shot 3 times, and immediately half an hour after you get shot, the government comes out, some of the top officials in our government, and calls you a domestic terrorist when you're not part of any protest group. You just got shot in the face 3 times and killed, and your government, immediately calls you a domestic terrorist. Look, if they said, we're going to do an investigation, we're going to look into this, it still would have been terrible, but would have been much, much less terrible compared to what they actually did, calling her a radical, calling her a domestic terrorist. This is like some fascist stuff, guys. This is some scary stuff, not believing in the rule of law. Hopefully, this officer gets brought to justice. But I don't know if that's going to happen, especially in this administration, guys. But let's continue.
Incident, calling her a domestic terrorist pretty much immediately. Even the president jumped in and said the force was justified. They're wrong. And they're lying. Any government agency that can function as a paramilitary force for the president's will, as a secret police that goes into homes and tears families apart, murders civilians in broad daylight, should not be allowed to exist. This country existed before ICE. In fact, I am 4 years older than ICE. And it can exist without it again. This isn't the first time that ICE has shot someone in broad daylight and lied about it, or killed someone in broad daylight and lied about it. That's happened in Chicago already. So what do we do? Well, first off, we need accountability. I don't think Donald Trump wants to abolish ICE anytime soon, but that's why it's more important than ever to get involved in politics. Look at what's happening on the local, state, and federal level when it comes to your community. And if we can build a coalition in 2026 and 2028 and slow down this agenda as much as possible, we have a chance of building a big enough coalition to actually accomplish that goal. But abolishing ICE is the floor. We need trials. Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, Greg Bovino, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and anyone involved in this disgusting farce of justice needs to be held accountable. They have to answer to the American people. We can't just pretend this is some fever dream, and we certainly can't wait it out. We are at this point, not just with ICE, but with our affordability crisis, with our rights in disarray, because of half measures and ignoring reality by our leaders. And then we are also told that what we want is a pipe dream, that we're asking for too much. It is not too much to ask our country to not murder us, to not kill mothers and call them domestic terrorists, to not use force against anyone that disagrees with you. We don't want your racist terror agenda, and any Democrat should be willing to say the same. Abolish ICE, disband DHS, and justice for Renee Good.
Wow. Completely second all of that. And I think she really touches on an important point, that we need to do our best to stay involved and get involved if you're not involved right now. I know, guys, life is very busy and it's hard. It's a struggle just to pay the bills and stay alive and, manage your relationships and your family and your friends. And if you have kids, it's tough. And, adding anything on top of that just sounds like it's not worth your time. But to that, I say, you'd be surprised how much you could get done with a little bit of effort and with a small amount of people. I think there's that quote that the world is changed just by a small group of committed people. So all I ask is, let's try to get involved, in a small way. Let's try to start small. If you are kind of new to this world, look up local organizations, advocacy organizations, whether it's a nonprofit or a community organization that's doing work that you somewhat believe in, that your heart kind of draws you to. Just join, just maybe follow their Instagram page. Maybe if you don't even know any, just spend half an hour or 15 minutes Googling one and finding one near you and following their social media page and see what they're up to. And, over the following weeks, maybe they host an event and maybe you go to that event and maybe you go to another one. Start small, but in whatever capacity you can, we need you to be involved and make your opinion and voice heard. That's the only way these things are going to improve. Again, I know there's a lot of stuff going on probably in your life, and sometimes it feels like, it's not worth your time. Maybe it's like cringe or something, but I promise y'all, it's worth it, especially at the local level. You could make a big, big change. So I ask you to start small, and then over time, then you maybe want to take on, a little more responsibility in the organization. Maybe you want to start your own organization. Maybe you want to join a rapid response network. If you feel really passionately about helping your neighbors, your immigrant neighbors, and making sure that law enforcement, whether it's ICE or local police, are following the law, joining a rapid response network could help you get involved in that. So please, we need all of us to get involved and to keep each other safe, because I think if anything has been proven to us in the last few months is that, our government right now is not the one who's going to keep us safe. Our neighbors are going to keep us safe. We are going to keep each other safe. So again, I completely second that by Kat. And here's another clear video of her moving her wheel to show that he wasn't in danger.